So, hey guys, good evening. Welcome to the InstantPost demo day, the second demo day to be precise, with Vidyuth episode 1. So, in this demo day, we'll be talking about the embedded system side of InstantPost. I'll hand over to Akhil to give a brief description about the demo day and InstantPost.
Thanks a lot, Ayush. Let me share my screen and start with the discussion. Okay. First of all, let me welcome everyone over here at Instant Post Demo Days, Vidyuth, episode 01. And I'm really delighted to have you all over here and share our progress with you all, what we have been doing for past quite some time. So, beginning with the basic concept of Instant Post, let me introduce that we are aspiring to disrupt the print industry in India, to be able to offer a completely curated platform which would allow people to print their content as per their choice and in a fully automated fashion where they do not have to interact with the middlemen in order to be able to receive their print orders. So our idea is basically to be able to receive print orders online using various means that we will allow for the users to be able to take their prints. And once the order is placed online, users can choose to go to a self-service printing ATM where they can go ahead and identify themselves and take prints of the orders that they had placed online. Accordingly, we are also working on building a managed print shop where our customers can go and work on further on their prints that they have taken out of a kiosk, and they can work on getting them bound, finished, as in getting them trimmed after binding, and then multiple other operations which would apply post printing in order to get a full-fledged bound print, for example, like a book or a magazine. So these are the overall procedures that we have planned at this moment, and the basic idea behind this whole operation is to allow everything that we have to offer to be able to create a privacy-aware infrastructure where you do not have to engage with the middlemen who would first of all get access to the content that you are trying to print, and accordingly also trying to speed up the whole process where you don't have to deal with multiple interfaces in order to get a single page print, and then obviously offer all of it at a cost that does not become a burden for our customers to avail the services. So going forward with the idea, let me explain you our target market, which is education sector at this moment. And we are planning to bring in around 30 crore students currently in Indian education system on board. And that's our target market at this moment, which also comprises of around 1 crore teachers who are involved in day-to-day activities of the college and also contribute largely to the whole ecosystem. The interesting reason for which we have taken up this sector as our target market is the growth opportunity that is available in this segment, where the growth numbers are almost in the double digit from every perspective that you could look in, by the growth of institutes, by number of students joining in, and also the faculties who are on the platform. So this shows us a really promising environment where it's fairly easy for us to engage with a really large audience set, and especially the most impressive aspect of this segment is the public sector spending by the government, which has been increasing almost 22% every year. As per our estimates, in general, the consumers in the education industry spend around 10 rupees per month, which approximately gives us access to a 300 crore market that is to be tapped, which does not have real competition and does not have brands that have a nationwide presence and could serve the larger community over here. So this is why we think this is a place that where we can cause maximum impact, and that's what our target audience is at this moment. So moving on, I would like to very briefly talk about the verticals we plan to support at this moment. So we have precisely three verticals, wherein the first vertical is loose prints. Here we I want to allow our customers to be able to print documents and photos, which would be loose prints in nature, and every sheet of print would be independent of the other one. And the second vertical that we have is the bound prints vertical, where we plan to offer printing of books and albums that would be where a stack of sheets would be bound together, just the way you would see a particular book or a magazine in front of you. And then we have a experimental vertical, which we are not ready to launch yet. But as and when we do, we want to bring in our targeted magazines, which will allow people to curate the content themselves that they want to receive, in place of receiving a predefined publisher curated magazine. They can decide on the topics that they want to engage in and would want to receive on a daily basis, or probably at a different frequency like weekly or monthly. And then a magazine as per their interest area would get configured for them every month and printed for them exclusively to be delivered to them. And obviously we would allow the users to be able to change their choices as they move forward and keep on building upon their interest area as they do in their personal life. So this is the overall thought process at this moment behind Instant Post. And let's hear more from Ayush, what he has to say about Vidyuth.
Hey guys, so let's dive right into the first episode of Vidyuth, brought to you by Instant Post. So, a brief introduction to myself before we get into what Vidyuth is about and what we do here at Instant Post. I am Ayush Baswesh, a student of Danan Sagar College, currently pursuing my electrical and electronics engineering, and I'm in the third year. I'm interning at embedded systems as at Instant Post at as the embedded systems intern. So let's dive right into the demo day. So every startup has been set up with something in mind, and most of these are to find a solution to a particular problem. So Instant Post is also set up to solve the problem in the printing domain. So what exactly is the problem with these traditional printers, and what problem do we face when we go to get a printout or anything related to prints? So let's talk about a traditional printing process. So what happens right now is we have our documents ready at our house or the office. We put it up in a pen drive. We go to the print shop, or we upload it into a mail and go to the print shop. So if we have put it up in our mail, we go wait for our turn at the print shop to access the computer. We log into our email ID. Then we give a print and wait for the shop personnel to get these prints to you and pay them. The same case even if we have a pen drive with us. So we wait for our turn at the computer, plug in a pen drive, and give the print command and just wait for the shop personnel to come and give the prints to us. This is not all. So after we are done with the printing process, we need to pay the shop. So mostly, or most of us have the prints costing us about a few rupees, mostly in the coin denominations. So if we give a 10 rupee note for a 5 rupee print, we need to wait for the shopkeeper to again go get the change and give it to you. That's about the problem what most of us face. Now, coming in to the student perspective, when we need to get prints for our project reports or any college purposes, we run to the print shop mostly at the last minute. But one problem that we students face is the closing time of the shops. So all these shops are bound by a closing time, and most of these shops shut doors at say 10 p.m. in the night and open somewhere around 9:30 in the morning. So between this 10 p.m. and 9:30 a.m. in the morning, we are helpless. So we have nowhere to go, even though our reports and our material is ready to be printed. we are still going to be delayed only because the print shops weren't opened. So this is one of the main problems that almost all students in their professional courses, or say even sometimes schools and colleges, face. So what can we suggest? So yes, we can suggest, okay, so how about we keep printers in such a way that only people can come and take prints by themselves. Yeah, somewhat it might be true. A self-service model where you put in a monitor and a printer connected to it in shops, and people just can come, take printouts, and go. But as you put a monitor with a printer, there's always that last minute editing that has to be done to your document, or say that mistake that you missed while you were proofreading last time that has to be edited. So then this again creates this indefinite wait time for people who'll have to wait behind you, or suppose if someone is really slow with the computer before you, so you'll have an indefinite wait time. So self-service model doesn't seem that possible, like to just have a printer and a monitor kept in public. So now you will suggest, okay, fine, let's then remove the monitor and keep only the printer. So most of you guys would have seen these huge printers in your Xerox shops and print shops. And yeah, even though it's just a few clicks of the button, it's not that easy to use. And you definitely need some professional training to really work with these printers. So it's obviously ruled out. Now people would suggest, okay, how about we use a home-based printer? Yes, a home-based printer will work, but again, it's like a need to have a monitor. Again, getting a monitor will again create wait time. And you don't want to do this. You just need to go collect your prints and walk out. So what can be the other solutions? So Instant Post has come up with a pretty interesting solution, I might say, to really just walk, collect your prints, and walk back out. So what is this printer? So how are we trying to do this printer? Is it some magic of sorts, or say how are we, like, do we have a monitor, but does it have some usage time? So after say 2 minutes, no more can use a monitor and you have to take prints. No, don't worry, it's nothing of that sort. It's pretty kind of simple to use, I can say, wherein you just have your documents ready, take a print, and you're done. That's about how simple we're planning to make things for people out there. So let me introduce you to the printing kiosk by Instant Post. So guys, this is a graphical representation of how we want our printing kiosk to look. So as you guys can see, this printing kiosk does not have a screen. So you cannot edit it front of the kiosk, or when you're operating the kiosk. For any case, you cannot edit your documents. All you can do is take printouts. So now you might say, okay, how is the printer going to know what I need to take a print of? Or how do I give it my documents? Or how does it know that I'm standing in front of it? So guys, it's just three simple solution process. That is, you upload your documents, you authenticate yourself with the printing kiosk that we place in the public, and you just collect your prints and you're done. The entire printing process is done. And now here with these printing kiosks, there is no minimum quantity or maximum quantity. All you just need to do is upload your documents, authenticate yourself, and collect your prints. Three simple process and your printing work is done. So now comes, okay, the kiosk is ready, but where do we place it? So obviously we cannot place it in buildings because all buildings have their own closing times. And again, if we place it in these buildings with a closing time, obviously we are not doing what we promised. So again, we are bound by the problem of closing time. So we don't really want that to happen. So what's the solution? You can say we can keep it outside. Yes, that's what we are planning to do, keep it outside. So when we say outside, we plan to keep it outside buildings, main buildings like hostels and malls, airports. So we can really be accessible to the public to take prints 24/7. And we truly mean it when we say 24/7. So when we keep these printers outside, there comes a problem. So once it's kept outside, it's under the mercy of the weather. So as the temperature increases, the kiosk heats up. As the temperature decreases, the kiosk cools down. That seems fine to us because we can adapt, we can change the type of clothing that we wear. So we are okay with the change in weather. But do you think the electronic components in the kiosk will be okay with it? If take your day-to-day electronic objects, so all these objects, when you see the instruction manual, they have an operating temperature. Similarly, even all the components that goes into the kiosk will have an operating temperature. So you might say, yeah, it's fine, if it heats up a little, it cools down a little, it's fine. But once the temperature increases to more than a certain extent, obviously the components will start working because it's way out of its operating capabilities. So we need some way to say control the temperature inside the kiosk and keep it within the working range. So how do we control this climate? We obviously cannot control the weather outside. We can't tell, okay, I've kept this kiosk here, so it can't get too sunny here or it can't get too cold here, because we are at the mercy of the nature, because it's not bound by any building or any shelter of sorts. So how do we control climate? Let's take, how do we control the weather or the temperature inside a room? Inside a room, if it gets too hot, we either turn on the fan or the AC if it gets really unbearably hot. And say, how do we keep a car cool? We keep the car cold by having a radiator, and as soon as it crosses its threshold, it turns on. So, but we cannot have a radiator inside a printing kiosk, nor can we have a complete air conditioning system inside the kiosk, because it's going to be really huge and it's going to be pointless to have such a huge air conditioning system or a radiator inside a kiosk. So we came up with a solution to use a solid state device. Why a solid state device? I'll tell you guys shortly. So we've come up with this system to keep the entire system cool when it gets really hot, or heat up the interiors of the kiosk when it gets really cold. So that's about how the kiosk works and the problems that the kiosks will face and the solutions that we have for it. So how does any electronics work? It might seem magical based on the front and how you really operate it. And even the developers do wish it was indeed magical. But unfortunately or fortunately, it isn't magical. There's a lot of science that goes behind it. So let's talk a little about the project that has made this entire kiosk possible. So we have two projects, the Automagic project and the Climate Control project. The Automagic project talks about how the entire kiosk works, from the user recognizing the user to authenticating them and giving the print command. And the Climate Control project, as the name suggests, plays a vital role on how the Climate Control project plays a vital role on managing the temperature inside the kiosk. So let's take a slight peek into these projects. So under Auto Magic, we have two sub projects named Commando and Orchestra. And under climate control, we have this project called Expresso. So remember, guys, I told you something about a solid state device. So why a solid state device and not a gaseous or a liquid cooling system? So let's take an example of a liquid cooling system. So when we talk about liquid cooling system, say a car radiator, for example, we need to keep refilling the coolant. Like most of you who use cars know this. So we periodically we need to refill the coolant or replace it after a certain period of time. This increases your maintenance. Now a gaseous state device, something like our air conditioner, so after every year we need to keep refilling the air conditioning gas. So again, this calls for maintenance because it's not something that you and I can do. We need to have experienced professionals come and replace the gas or the coolant in your car radiator. So we decided to go with a solid state device to reduce this complete maintenance cost. And another huge benefit of this solid state device is that it can both cool and heat. So this solid state device is called as a Peltier plate. So what is a Peltier plate? A Peltier plate is a semiconductor device that works when given some energy. So what energy are we talking about here? We are talking about electricity. So you just provide it potential difference and you let some amount of current flow through it, and it can heat or cool. So if a Peltier plate is just like a small silicon plate, say about a 2 inch by 2 inch, and this silicon plate has obviously two sides because every plate has two sides. So one side, when you supply power to it, one side heats up and one side cools down. So when the heated side, when you give it some potential difference, so one side heats up and one side cools down, and the heated side cannot come in contact with the kiosk because you want it to radiate the heat, not heat the kiosk. So what we have done is we've decided to keep the heated side outside the kiosk with these huge fans. As you guys can see, these huge fans will be radiating the heat outside, and this side will be the cooling side of the plate, which will be kept inside the kiosk. So this will cool the entire kiosk down. That's for the daytime or when it gets really hot. Now you might ask me, what about if it gets really cold? So if it gets really cold, again, the components will not be able to handle it. So we need to heat things up. So like I said, it's a semiconductor device which heats up or cools down. So all we'll have to do is reverse the polarity and the entire kiosk heats up. So now these huge fans act as the cooling side and these small fins act as the heating side. So now the heating side is inside the kiosk and it heats up the kiosk. So that's what Project Expresso is about and how it helps in controlling the temperature inside the kiosk. Now let's go into the actual interface of the kiosk and how this kiosk works. So like I said, under Automagic, we have two sub-projects, Project Orchestra and Project Commando. So what does Project Orchestra do? So you walk in front of the kiosk to authenticate yourself. So while authenticating yourself, you have to do we have a few authentication features which will authenticate you. So Project Orchestra works on these component sides. So it tells the machine that, okay, there's someone here. Hey, there's someone here. You need to authenticate him. Or once you finish your authentication process, it's going to tell, okay, your authentication process is done. You can collect your prints. Or it's going to ask you, hey, please, can you authenticate yourself? And that's the one end of Project Automagic. That is Project Orchestra. Under Project Commando, we have the complete backend process. So once you've authenticated yourself, it has to do some verification to actually correlate the authentication process to the actual person with the database. So it's going to do the complete backend process where it's going to authenticate and it's going to fetch your documents that you've uploaded and give you the print. So that's the three projects that the embedded system side is working on. So as you guys can see, this there are some lights lighting up on the kiosk. So this isn't just a graphical representation. So we really want the kiosk to be completely user friendly. So these lights that you can see, the white lights, they are actual LEDs that we're going to be implementing in the print kiosk. So what these LEDs do is draw your attention to the component that requires your interference. So these LEDs will act as a purpose, and they're not only for show, and they will make things easier for you, and you don't need to be a complete professional, or you don't need to be specifically trained to use this print kiosk. So we have made this completely user friendly so that anyone can use this kiosk. You just again need to upload, authenticate, and collect. That's the printing process offered to you by InstantPost, and the printing kiosk brought to you by InstantPost. Now we'll open up for a few questions to explain about the kiosk if you have any.
Hey, Ayush, I would like to ask, how does this authentication work on the kiosk?
Okay, so we have a few devices like the fingerprint scanner, or QR code or display screen, and keypad. So when you come in front of the kiosk, you can either, if your fingerprint is already registered with InstantPost, you can scan your finger. If otherwise, if you're a first time user and you don't want to really register yourself with InstantPost, so we will provide you with an OTP, and you just need to key in that OTP on the keypad. We will also have a QR code reader. So in case we place this in college and your college has already a database of your codes, you can just go scan it and get it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it certainly does. Thanks a lot.
Guys, any more questions?
Hey, Ayush. So I had this one question. So aren't these prints priced? So and how do we pay for these prints?
Hey Chris. So yes, definitely everything out there comes with a cost. So you will have to pay for your prints. Obviously, for anything to survive, you need to pay. So even here, you will need to be paying. Right now, on the print kiosk, we have a magnetic card reader. In case you have a lot to print and it costs a huge amount, you can swipe your card. Or for a loose print, say about 4 to 5 pages, we have a coin acceptor where you can put in coins and pay for it. We also have another wallet system that we are designing. In case your print costs only 1 rupee and you don't have 1 rupee change, you have a 5 rupee coin. So don't worry, if you put in, there'll be no hassle of change, or you'll not be losing the 4 rupees. The 4 rupee balance will be transferred to your wallet, and the next time you use the kiosk, it'll be reimbursed. Does that answer my question, Chris?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Ayush.
Yeah. So Ayush,
Yes, Raman.
so how will we be able to join this? Is there an app for this? In that we will be able to start an account with the fingerprint. We will be able to upload our fingerprint and Instant Post will store these data. Is that how it
Uh,
works?
yes, Raman. We are designing web apps to help you out with this. So you can just follow the URL, and then just open it. It'll direct you to a download option where you can download this app. And once you're in this app, you can create an account and upload all your documents. And this is the upload part of the process where you get your prints. Once uploading these documents, you can go to a kiosk and recognize yourself. And in case your fingerprints haven't been registered with InstantPost, then you'll be given either an option to scan the QR code or enter an OTP to authenticate yourself.
Okay, so I'll be uploading my document to InstantPost server, and then that's how it communicates to the kiosk. Is that how it works?
Yes, you will be uploading it to the InstantPost server, and the server will be sending this documents when you arrive in front of a print kiosk. You'll be sending it to the respective printer, and the print will be delivered.
Okay, thank you.
Guys, do we have any other questions?
Hey Ayush, so we have two guests with us, Dr. Pratima KM and Rachna. So why don't we ask them if they have any specific questions for us?
Rachna, do you have any questions in mind regarding this presentation so far?
Yeah, no questions. Thank you.
So I guess we probably have covered all the questions. So I would end the recording.